Do you mean like sort of on...
I guess I love you.
Tragedy struck.
I see you haven't lost your touch.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Nerdcast, brought to you by the Project-Nerd Podcast Network. I am your host tonight, Jay, formerly of High Five Cole on the podcast, actually currently of High Five Cole on the podcast and the Project Nerd Network, and I am so freaking excited to be guested tonight by our secret guest, who I'm going to introduce in a second, but just as importantly, my co-host for the evening, Gallo. How are you, Gallo?
Hey, I'm doing good, feeling good.
I am so excited to bring on our special guest tonight because we're talking with people who have directed, written, starred in films, shorts, have film festivals coming up. But first, the Nerdcast is brought to you by Geek Garage. So head on over to geekgarage.com to see some of the world's coolest geek and pop culture themed vehicles, as well as stay up to date on events and register your nerdy car. Because I know you have a nerdy car. We all have nerdy cars. If you don't want a nerdy car, get a nerdy car and then register it on geekgarage.com. That's geekgarage.com, geek-garage.com. Okay, here it is. The moment of truth, I guess, is big, but guests, the true guests and the true stars of the evening. Gallo, I have to welcome our special guests. We have Kate Morgan Chadwick and Brooke Trantor. Welcome. Yay!
Thank you for having us, guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on the Nerdcast tonight. We are so excited to chat with you guys because you've created a short, and it has not only been well received, but it's freaking awesome. By the way, we watched it, and it's been accepted at the Dances with Films Film Festival, which is going on, I think, right now. Especially when this episode is going to come out, it's right before the debut, I think, of you guys' short. So we couldn't be happier that you're here. Thank you so much for coming.
Truly, thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're pumped.
So I have to ask, and for everybody who's listened to the Nerdcast, we want you guys to be the stars of this. So for everyone who isn't familiar, you guys have a short. It's called Oh Baby, and it will be at the Dances with Films Film Festival. It is written and directed by the two of you, correct?
We wrote it together, and Kate stars in it, and then I directed it.
So, for everyone not initiated, give us a quick rundown of the narrative. What's going on in the short?
Take it away, Kate.
Well, basically, we have a youngish woman named Jane, who camera opens to her getting ready for something in a kind of hurried, nervous fashion, and we then find her waiting for something at a restaurant. We find out it is a man named Ben, but real life actor named TJ Leonard. And he shows up and we watch them enjoy a meal, but something feels amiss. And I can't go on too much further without ruining, the plot, which of course, since it's a short, you find out 5 minutes into the film. So you don't have to wait.
You know what? I actually have to tell you that we don't want to give it away because of the film festival and everything, and that we want everybody to enjoy what we had the opportunity to enjoy to prep for this. But Jay and I were talking right before you ladies came on, and it is actually that you mentioned that it is a little bit suspenseful. It's like you're waiting for something to drop. It's like you guys lead it up really well to all these things happening. And then it's like, okay, this is going to go bad. Okay, this is going to go bad. And it's like over and over and over. In such a short time. It was amazing. It was really a fun part of it because I'm like, what's next? What's next? What's next?
Oh.
So to play my cards a little bit, I am a film geek and nerd. Like, this is the type of stuff I geek out about. And when I was watching, I was just like, wow. The shots of her getting ready in the bathroom, like just the close-ups, it's so good. And the dialogue is very, very authentic and really, really, it feels slice of life in a way where, just like Gallo said, you're not exactly sure what's going to happen, but everything in it feels 100% authentic to Kate, I have to imagine one of you had this experience or these feelings, and I'm not going to spoil anything about this short, but is there a personal connection to anything in this for either of you? Because it feels so true.
Brooke, go ahead. You start out with that.
Yeah, and I know it's tricky talking about films because we want to dive into why we wrote this, and that is very much about female empowerment and empowering women at different stages of life. So if we want to touch on it, I'm comfortable with that without giving away too much info about that third act. But yes, so Kate and I go way back. We actually met. She was one of the first people I met in Los Angeles in our acting studio.
Wow.
And we became fast friends. She's now my best friend. And she was on set of my last film, Yours or Mine. Full women crew, crew and cast. It was a wonderful experience. And she just was like, we have to do something. I want to do something. I was like, yes, you do. What do you want to do? I'm all in. And then I'll pass the ball to you, because then something kind of prolific happened to Kate, and she came to me.
Yes. Well, I found myself with child. And I found
as you do.
Well, I made myself with child with my husband. We were, it was a good thing. So I just knew that as an actor, as a human, as an artist, as a female not wanting to sit back anytime right now in this industry, like really, this is like, we want to dive in. I just knew I couldn't sit and wait to have a baby and then, go into you. That's a whole nother journey. And then you kind of have to put career on the hold. And I just didn't want to do that. I just thought this is a time to create with people I love. And there already is so much uncertainty, and making a film is sort of like, as my friend Joe Oppenheimer says, it's like war a little bit. And it's not easy. And I think having that experience while I was kind of not knowing what was this next chapter in my life, as far as being a mom, now I know.
She's a fantastic mother.
Anyway,
congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the birth of the short and of your baby. My wife has we've got two little ones, and so I've watched her go through similar experiences. So one of the things that I can say with full confidence and without spoiling anything is one of the true things that I loved about the short, and I hope other people get to experience it, is such a true slice of life that not everyone talks about, like these types of experience or these types of feelings or these types of narratives, but it is such a true thing. It's such a real, natural, just approachable state of being, state of life. And I love that you guys were just so forthcoming with the story and so good. And Brooke, I want to come back and compliment you on the direction of it, because this is something we can talk about without getting into the narrative spoilers. But behind the camera, you did a really good job of giving Kate a platform in which to be honest and open. And I really felt the closeness of the scenes, like the intimacy between her and TJ, but really just your skill, but with the camera and showing off and giving this narrative a platform was really impressive. And I would love to hear about your journey to direction, because I know you started as an actor as well, or still do act.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me give a shout out to my DP, Kara Johnson, and our first AC, David Hebrero, because they really were the masterminds behind the technicality behind the camera and really bringing my vision to life. So, so grateful for them. What you speak on about Kate really just having a platform to shine, that was my whole goal of the entire project. That was my number one. And that was an interesting not battle, but it was interesting to be both a friend. I love Kate. I'm concerned about her safety. and her health, that, and then a director and a creator like wanting to get the shots, wanting to get the nitty gritty, right? So which you guys know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So there was
Well, I mean, you got to tell us how you critique her acting as well. You've got to tell me how you tell your friend, "Hey, you got to do that again. I don't believe it."
Tell me how you did it. Look.
no,
How did you do it?
here's the thing, Kate is an extraordinary actress, and I don't know if there was ever a time that was like, I don't believe it. Kate is her talent exceeds. But do I want to see it a different way? Do I want, let's try this, let's try that. My background's in improv, and I think that really that really defines myself as a director and a writer, because yes, I'm married to the page and the story that we're telling, but I also trust my actors completely. There's a reason why we cast TJ. We wrote this for Kate and TJ. We found Samson. Like, there's a reason that I brought them onto set. So the trust is there. Then it's just saying, okay, do you trust me? Do you trust that I'm putting your safety first? That's number one. And then I'm going to make you look real good. And it's going to be really fun, right? Because I think that Kate can speak to this, but that's a whole other thing when you're pregnant. Is, it's ingrained in our minds as women. Well, how do I look? What's this angle? Do I look big? Am I pretty? And Kate, I mean, just was stunning, as you saw. But just making sure that she felt empowered.
I will agree.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Making sure that she felt empowered. And I should have asked, can we curse on this? Is that a no-no?
Fuck yeah.
Fucking course. Oh, now we got Kate's attention. She's like,
look,
yeah,
Kate and Brooke just showed up.
Just wanted to make her feel incredibly fucking empowered and beautiful. That was my goal, and I think we most definitely succeeded in that. So yeah, for me, it was all about making sure everyone around me trusted the vision and the story, and that safety was always first.
Yeah.
So now, when you two sit down to start writing this, I mean, I'm picturing two girls in high school just giggling away, trying to push the envelope, trying to say, okay, what about this? Okay, what about this? You know, how much of that back and forth was there, and was it hilarious, as hilarious as I think it was to write this?
You're like, I've got the back 5 minutes of this like well in my mind, but I want you to hear me out.
Yeah, I think there's that. And then Brooke is I was so, man, it was really hard for me initially to just start getting these thoughts out of my head, through my brain, and out of my mouth, you know, and into the ether where they matter.
Right.
And so Brooke was like, at one point we were sitting in her apartment and she said, let's just record some funny dialogue. Like, let's just record us talking, do some character fun stuff.
Improv. You're improv people. Yeah.
That I found to be so heart opening. I just was like, oh yeah, I can do this. When then I'm not so precious about how it comes out. And I think anytime you're writing with a partner, and I think, as friendly and close as Brooke and I were, we hadn't written something together at that point. And so I think you're just trying to be really careful with your thoughts. At least I was in the beginning. So I was like, oh, I know I'm allowed to say whatever I want, but I want her to respect me.
Right.
I'm a lady.
I don't want to leave this session her thinking, oh no, what the fuck are we doing? Like, actually. So there were
she just had a neat idea that I want to now use, I guess.
Yeah.
No, I can't. Well, one, that is something I did want to ask about without giving anything away, though. But a lot of trust. You had to have a lot of trust, I imagine, in what Brooke's vision was for how it would be shown and how it would be shot. And no trust. You don't
trusted her. Opposite. Trusted her completely, almost. And as I was sort of the executive producer, whatever that means, but I was. But I probably should have cared more about that stuff, but it was on. I just knew that she had it. I knew she was going to have it.
Yeah.
And she did. And, you know,
That's
and you also
a benefit of working with your friend. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, not always though, because sometimes you can work with friends and it's not as good. It just happens.
That's true.
But we were lucky this time, and next time, I don't know, for Oh Baby 2.
Get writing.
Get ready.
Yeah, that's one thing too that was a lot of fun about this whole thing was that I could see this going like a full-length feature. I really could. Like there was so much room to throw so much more in there, and I'm like, they could have easily done a full feature film if they wanted to, and if they chose to, they still could, and I mean, hell, you can have a sequel with the waiter. He was hilarious.
Come on. Yes, he's a star. Just wait. He's about to blow the F up.
He was hilarious.
So good.
He's a star. He's actually about to be in the Sopranos prequel.
Oh, really? He's in that?
Nice.
He plays Big Pussy as a teenager.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is huge.
He's like,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I
is
had
great.
theories. I don't know how weird it is that I'm like trying to guess the ending of a 10-minute short when I'm watching it, but in my head I'm like, I bet that waiter comes back and is super important. I was like M. Night Shyamalaning the short, and I'm like, I see where they're going with this. But it was I do want to compliment you guys. You said you wrote it for TJ, but you guys is like the chemistry between you. I totally believed you cared for each other at that Mexican restaurant in the 5 minutes that we were given. Like I really, really did believe it. So finding him or writing it for him or however it was approached, I would love some background on that because that worked a lot.
I'm a married woman. The laughter happened. So TJ is one of my dear friends from New York. I lived in New York for 10 years and then lived in LA for 10 years. And now my family we're in San Diego for the time being. And I just knew when we started writing the male character and we were like talking the way we kind of envision funny, cool, quirky guys to talk. I don't know. And I just kept thinking about TJ. And I was like, man, TJ could probably knock this out of the park. And we maybe like had some chemistry in our previous life, which I think is always helpful to have when you're casting people who you want to, who you need to be intimate with, to have somebody who you maybe have been attracted to one or twice.
As long as you're on good terms.
Yeah. By the end of this, I was very attracted to him. I'll give you that. I mean,
who wouldn't?
It was so. Thank you for using that word, adorable. You guys were adorable together in the short. It was great. Again, kudos.
Kate, I am going to start the KMC fan club. I just want you to know. I mean, it's so awesome that you are so genuine, both of you. It's really awesome to be, that's the one thing we want when we hang out like this, is to have that comfort where, you're meeting total strangers, but you don't want anyone to feel like a stranger. and you guys are making that possible for us, because we, like we said, we don't want to script anything. We don't want to make people feel like they're, under a time limit, or, you have to answer these specific questions. And you two have just been amazing. Brooke, what brought you to acting, and where did you start life?
Where did I start life? I'm originally, shout out Chicago. I'm originally from Quincy, Illinois.
All right.
Grew up in the middle of cornfields, and we actually, for being such a small town, like 40,000, we had an incredible arts community. There's a community theater there, and then our high school and grade schools had these drama clubs. And my friend, my parents sensed a real energy that needed to be worked out out of their house, and enrolled
That's how
me.
it starts.
Yeah. Enrolled me in a an audition for a play, and I was Tinkerbell at 3 years old. And you guys, I never stopped. I've never stopped. I've always been in a show or working on something, and then that growing up in the theater that was my family, that led to me doing improv because we had a director come down from Chicago, and so we did improv, and then I would travel up to the city to do workshops as a teenager at Second City and IO.
Awesome.
And
Wow.
then I went to school, and then I got my degree in acting at Illinois Wesleyan. And then, when all my friends were going to New York to do musical theater, which was a huge passion of mine, I did my first film in 2009 in Chicago that summer. And when they called action, something just like hit very differently. And I'm a pretty spiritual person. That was like, oh, this is it. This is it, which means I have to go to a city where I don't know anybody. I don't know one person. I'm leaving all my friends behind to go to New York or Chicago. And I don't know what this is, but like, I have to trust my gut. And I think that trust and faith has paid off, that I truly believe this is where I'm supposed to be. And it's such a cool time to be an artist out here too, because I think in other decades it was like, you're an actor or you're a writer. Don't get me confused. Right. And now it's like, bitch, I do everything. Like, excuse me. No, so it's incredibly empowering right now. And thank God for so many trailblazers that have come before us to say like, yeah, you can do it all. There's no stopping you. So that was kind of my journey in a nutshell. But yeah, still just hustling away in the town of Angels, the city of Angels. Yeah.
So I love
Chicago
that
flavor. I love it.
Yeah. I love that mix of being able to do both. And you talk about the strength of, writing and directing and acting. And I have heard that and heard other people say, well, actually the thing that makes me a good director is that I have been on the other side of the camera and I know the type of direction that or how it could be phrased, or I know kind of what some of those triggers are. And so that blending of talents, especially in an industry that's driven by creatives, I think is incredibly important. And so I am thrilled to see you guys making a story about empowering people and feeling empowered in the process. I definitely want any sort of nuggets of wisdom or elements that you could share with the people that might be listening to this, that if they want to be a creator in this industry, if they're a woman and they want to tell these stories, like what are some bits of advice that you could give them? I mean, you guys are in it, you're doing it every day. You're making these things. This is exciting. I know there's some other people that want to get there. The thing that I'll say it really quick, and then I know Kate's going to have.
No, I was going to say, I just think Brooke should answer this question completely.
No, it's coming right back to it.
Very inspiring.
Something that has taken years and years and years. I mean, I'm not that old, but get really comfortable with not being liked. And I know that sounds really weird because I feel like I surround myself in my life with a lot of people that do like me. But I think as an artist, if you have something to say and nobody dislikes you, the trolls aren't coming out, whatever this age we live in, then I think you're doing something wrong. Like, your opinions are out there, and it's hard because, especially being raised in the Midwest, it's like, make everyone like you. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. And it's just like, shake things up. Say what's actually on your heart and your mind, and be willing to like not have 100% of the population be your fan. The other percentage, like the other people that support you, they will lift you up just as you will do them. That's a hard lesson, and it's continued work, I would say. Yeah.
And I guess I'll just add that it's a journey. And so I can see how diving in is intimidating for if you like you said, Joey, that's my best friend's name.
Is it really? I'm your best friend now? I know we've had fun on the show so far, but I didn't know I was your best friend now.
I thought you looked familiar.
Great. I'm so glad to have you, Kate, here. This is amazing. Yes.
So
like the baby
so
kangaroo.
people jumping in, right? So I think if for anybody who wants to start cracking, know that where you're coming from is like just the beginning. It's just a starting point, and even if you've been doing this for 15 years, every creative leap feels like the first time again, kind of somehow. I think there's a lot of humility and more interesting work to be had when you can set your ego aside and welcome vulnerability and know that you are creating something with other people. It's not all on you. Like it's
Right.
you're a piece of it. Even if you're the writer or the actor or the director, it's all just you're building something together. You're putting the puzzle together with other people who you bring on board, who you trust, who can help bring something special and think of things that you didn't think of. And I think to just wrap up your question, or wrap up this question, is that I spent a good deal of my 20s just sort of waiting for people to figure out how special or unique I am, or what, they're going to recognize my talent. And I think I just don't think I hustled enough. I mean, I started to, but it's a hustle in a way that you have to look at as you need to create, and you need to create with other people, and you need to and you want other people to have a response to it. It's just pretty, it's like primal. I don't know. And not to get all hippy dippy about it all, but it's just not all on you. It's such a creative, collaborative industry. So I think if you don't want to collaborate, it's not right for you. But
So
I think, I mean, that's what Project Nerd is, kind of what our whole mission is just like, we all like to collaborate and nerd and
big
create
giant collab.
Yeah, like we just nerd out about so many things. And one of the things that I'm excited, and I do want to email you guys both after this about, but one of the shows that we have on our network is a woman-led improv show that's true crime. So every week they make up a new improv long-form true crime podcast.
Ooh.
It's called Murder, She Joked.
Wait, Murder, She Don't?
Murder, She Joked.
Oh, Murder, She Choked.
Joke. Like, ha 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 ha, joke.
We're not cutting that.
I love it. But yeah, so there's a group of them, and they used to perform live here in Nashville, but there's a group of them, and when the pandemic hit, they started going audio, and they just get together and virtually record long form improv around a fake true crime, and it's phenomenal. As improv people, and I want to hear about kind of some of your journeys and the lessons you've learned through improv, but I definitely wanted to mention that because they're women creators, and they're doing improv, and they're talking about murder, and it's awesome. It's really good.
Really, it's just like all my favorite things in one.
Right?
I think we all have that dark side where we all are very interested. I mean, that's probably one thing that we could all kind of like come together and say is that we all have at least a little bit of curiosity about that true crime. Once that starts rolling and you start hearing about it, you will not, I will not move until, I hear what happens. And then if there is no ending, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I got to go find out now.
Yeah. If Dateline is on, nothing else is happening. Nothing is happening that night. Yeah.
If the Law and Order marathon is on, which it is probably like right now, I might need to.
Honestly, if I'm in a hotel, I'm probably watching a Law and Order rerun. If there was a time there, if Criminal Minds was on television, I was probably finding it. And I know that's not even true crime, but man, and I'll tell you what, Netflix has figured out how to scratch that itch, because I'm like, what? The Stranger Next Door? Who's kidnapping whose kids? What? It's amazing.
Yeah. There's just so much new stuff out there. It's so true.
Oh my goodness. But I wanted to mention that, but like with improv, What was it that drew you to that? Because one, I used to be a stand-up comedian, and that's a different art. That's a different art form entirely. Improv scares the crap out of me, and I know it's a scary art. What drew you to it?
Who's gonna start?
Brooke.
He's asking you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Oh, either I don't.
Into your eyes.
I'll be honest. I was not drawn to it. I was 13 years old or 13 years old. And a director had come to our community theater, as I mentioned, and was going to start like a teen improv troupe. I was like, okay, I'm just going to be on the stage doing plays, but like have fun. And then my friends were like, no, you have to come. It's so much fun. And I was like, I'll come watch. I'll come watch. Just, because I loved improv. I grew up watching sketch comedy. Like, I'm very familiar with it, but I was never like, I can do that. And the director at the time, Dominic, who has become a dear friend of mine and mentor for many years of my life, he was like, okay, Brooke, your turn. I was like, no. And remember, 13 years old, are you kidding me? The amount of anxiety, and I don't want to look like a fool in front of my friends. And I'm also like, just sorry, like TMI, but like, if you know my work, I explore my history with eating disorders. Like, I was not in a good place. So no, I'm not going to get up and no, I'm watching. And everyone clapped me in and they're like, do a monologue, an improvised monologue about soup. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like, what do you mean about soup? That's your suggestion, soup. And you guys, I start shaking. And that's when I know something really visceral is about to happen. I was like, I really don't want to do this. And Dominic looked in my eyes and he said, I mean, this was a different time. No. It wasn't it was just like, do the monologue. And I just start sobbing. And something just like broke open in me. And I remember, I think the first word I said was butternut squash. And I'm like, I don't even know what the monologue was about, but it was life-changing. I know that sounds kind of dramatic. And then I joined the troupe and I've never quit improvising. It really opened up a block within me that I think adults still walk around with. This need to be seen in a certain way, this need to control the future because they can't control the past. Yeah. Because improv is, you can only be in the present. You cannot live anywhere else. And that is so truly empowering. And I use that in my directing. I use that in my daily life, or I try to pull from those values and lessons. So yeah, it was not a volunteer basis entry, but ended up being like my one true love. So yeah.
That's awesome. It really is. It's like
Kate?
There's so many times in life where you have these surprises, right? And you look back at all these things that you really didn't want to fucking do, and then you did them, and all of a sudden it took you into the direction your life was supposed to be going in, and that's awesome.
Yeah. Kate, I want to get your stance on this because I want to hear some of your history and what led you and sticks you with acting and creating and your history with improv as well. So.
Okay. Well, my history with improv is much shorter than Brooke's because I took the classes at UCB in LA when I got there. And I was like, no, thanks.
I'm going to pass everybody. I see what this is.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I see how this can help me with my commercial auditions and help me with my acting. I totally was here for that. I had no interest in like being on an improv team or any of that stuff because I hate saying this. I just really didn't feel smart enough. I am smart enough, but there just was such a competitive vibe, especially back. That was like 2012 or 11, and that's just when I think the improv schools were getting kind of big, and people were really really starting to get into taking. I mean, at least in all of my groups in New York and LA. And so anyway, love improving on set though. I'm here for it. Just not the competitive kind where you go and you perform as a team, and that stuff scares me.
Yeah, you and me both.
Yeah. So I went to Florida. I'm at Lincoln Center for college and got my BA in theater, and then was like doing a play off Broadway and was singing in the dressing room. And my director said, "Kate, do you sing?" And I said, "Yeah, I mean, I did a lot of musical theater in high school and middle school. I was all musical theater. I wanted to go to college for straight acting, because we have all these ideas when we're 18 about what we are going to do and be and who we are, and
Grand plans.
grand plans, grand dame, yes. And so Tom was like, "Kate, do you sing?" And I was like, "I used to." And he's like, "You should audition for Mamma Mia. I'm the resident director of the Vegas production." So I did, and then I ended up getting, that was my first like regional gig outside of New York, which of course is, when I say regional, is Las Vegas. So I like to tell people I did the topless version of Mamma Mia, but I didn't.
No.
Yeah.
Does that exist?
No.
Is that a thing?
I think it should.
Okay.
I just think
I'm not against it. I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I think it'd be a
I
great
didn't know if
addition.
like Meryl was leading that one as well. Just wasn't sure.
The part about not topless, that was hilarious too, by the way. People will know what I'm talking about. But that was hilarious too. I was like, yep.
So anyway, I did a lot of theater and then toured with some other shows and then wound up in LA. That's when I started kind of plopping along in little, co-stars here and there, and having my manager, who was still in New York, set me up for little go-sees, and it was great. It was nerve-wracking and fun, but I just, anytime as Brooke, anytime, as we always say, anytime you're on set, it's just magic, and for the most part, yeah.
It's still a job. It's still work, and there's effort, and I'm sure there's always frustrations and people butt heads, and that's going to happen. But you guys were creating something really, really cool and really fun. Now, outside of this specific project, Brooke, Kate, what do you nerd out about when you're not like pushing this on film festivals and doing promotional podcasts and talking with bearded men like us?
Oh my
like
God.
in life, like in general, life stuff.
Yeah, just like in general. Like, what do you nerd out about?
Well, I currently have 54 plants in my studio apartment, so I'd say that's
Amazing.
That's a nerdy
Botany.
thing. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's all you nerd out about?
Not all, but I adore it. My grandfather was a farmer, and it somehow connects me to, growth and like having something outside of yourself that you can take care of. Because I don't know if you knew, but like our industry is kind of like me. That's what I'm thinking about all the time, and that is exhausting. Yeah. So to watch something else grow that is outside of, and I don't have a child, yet. Like
I'm about to say, Kate grew something.
Yeah.
Or someone. Sorry, someone.
Listen, could be both. Yes, I do nerd out on my child, as the moms say. So that has been delightful. And I mean, obviously we're living in kind of a fucked up time right now.
Yeah.
I think I really try to just connect with the friends who I can connect with. Brooke was just here this past weekend visiting to see Cal for his birthday, and I'm trying to watch more shows that just delight me and not put judgment on whatever they are. If it's like a baking show and it's like making me happy, I'm gonna let it work its magic on me, instead of thinking like, oh, I should be watching this really like well-reviewed, highly anticipated show on whatever. Like, I'll get to it. I think what I'm trying to say is I'm nerding out on doing what feels really just good right now, and self-care in all different ways.
I fully support that. I mean, I think John Krasinski made like a whole little dumb $1 billion off of just telling people good things, silly things. So I'm 1,000% with you. And it's funny. I had mentioned before being like that nerd about film. So always in the back of my mind is like, I should be watching like The Green Knight or something, fancy, as like, I'm going to watch Predator for the 17th time this week because it makes me happy. Like, it's like, my wife will walk through and be like, what are you watching? You've seen this. I'm like, I know, but I like it.
But I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's important to know we all have those shows and movies, especially this last year, just like taking comfort in the thing we can count on. Isn't that it?
Mm-hmm.
Like we can't
count
on shit. There's nothing around us.
Right. I don't know. It's like, I know The Princess Bride is good.
And nobody tell me different. Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to smile. I'm going to be happy.
Yeah.
So now, being it that we just got this through, that you're taking the movie to the film festival and everything else, how much of this was affected by the pandemic?
Well,
yeah, uphill battle a bit. Yeah,
and we really, I have to give Brooke so much credit with getting our butts back out there, because I had just sort of thought, well, we got into Florida and we got into a couple other ones that we wanted, and then things got stalled and postponed, or just went straight to online. Mm-hmm. And I think then we just thought, well, we're gonna let this. I just thought I was gonna let this thing kind of die, which I hate saying. I knew we would bring it back somehow, and because we've just always wanted eyes on it. We just want people to share in it, and Brooke really, she took the reins and was like, you know what, fuck it. We're doing this. We're doing this. We're doing this. I'm going to call this distributor. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to call this guy I met here. She's so brilliant at keeping contacts and keeping relationships with people, and which is a big part of this industry. She really lit the fire in her ass, and we started resubmitting and took a new approach to where we were submitting, and so far we're, I don't know about the other ones. Like, there's one we can't announce yet because they haven't announced, and then I think the one in,
I don't know if we can announce either of them, but we'll just say we have some other really big ones coming up too. Yeah. And just kind of adding to what Kate said, listen, you make so much. I think this is like my 6th or 7th short film, and I'm not saying that I've made shit in the past, right? And I'm proud of that.
Well, you got to make shit at some point in your life if you're a creator. It's a passage, a rite of passage. You're not making shit. It's not happening. You're not making something.
You might make shit again. Because
I will. Yeah. I plan on it. Yeah. But I got to go right before everything shut down. We had a screening in Phoenix, and I drove, and I was like, don't worry about it. The baby was so young. I was just like, it's totally fine. I'll go for the weekend. And I knew these filmmakers from the previous year I was at the festival for my other short. And I said, yeah, I'll come down, come down, whatever. Y'all, like that, you get so nervous in your films, it's coming up on the screen. You're like, I don't know. The laughter that I heard in that little room, I'm like, I always go back to that when we were struggling. It's like, I believe in this film. I believe in this story. I can't. We just put too much time and love and energy into it to let it fizzle. Especially like, this sounds silly, but especially now being so close with Kate's son, Cal, it's like, and he in this weird way is like the center of it all. And I can't wait until he's 14 and she shows him and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm sure he'll ask me that way before he's 14.
Okay, sorry.
But about this specifically, he will ask that like about when he's 14. That's Awesome. Yes, that's hilarious.
I was
Yeah.
just gonna. I
I'm
was just
so
thinking
glad.
about that. That's gonna be great when you're like, "That's you. That's you."
You know what, Gallo?
What?
I'm gonna be like, yeah.
And Dad was cool. Dad was cool with this.
He was
Okay.
like,
Yeah, he was totally. He was like producing it. He was all over it. He's all about it.
This is the dance I'm gonna do for my son before
yeah, yeah, he's gonna be thrilled.
Oh.
That's the dance. That's the dance I do for my daughters. They
Yeah.
don't appreciate it.
Oh my
That's what
God.
it's all about. Yeah.
Oh my
But I'm
God.
so
Oh.
excited that we have like a second life to it and that people are going to be able to see it. And I know things are still really weird, so maybe not all in person. Maybe we'll still be a part of some virtual festivals, but yeah, it's a story really close to our hearts, and you know, we've brainstormed about what this story would look like as a series or a feature, and you know, this was a really wonderful project to like start our partnership kind of in this realm, and I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what's next. So I'm glad we can celebrate this beginning together.
One thing I'm gonna say right now, and then I don't even know how it's gonna sound. Man, I don't fucking care how it's gonna sound. The one thing I have seen, we have had both the male, female guests, different genres and different levels of film and everything else. And one of the common things that I see amongst our female guests is just that persistence, that passion to just like, no is not the answer. So we're not going to take that and just be like, okay, we're going to be like, no, you know what? And you pick each other up.
Yes.
You know, you pick each other up and you're like, okay, no. This has to happen. We're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to fight and we're going to look for it and we're going to make it happen. You know, and that's commendable. And I think that that's something that I am able to, you know, when we think about where we come from and who we are and where we're going to go in life and everything else, that's one thing that I definitely admire about my mother, was that I kind of got that from her, you know, that persistence, that we got to keep fighting. We got to keep going. You know, you see Dark Lord there as the name that I use with Project Nerd. And the reason for that is because ask anybody in Project Nerd, when things are down or when we have to find something to do, I'm making shit happen. One way or another, we're going to figure this out, guys. I mean, I'll eat shit for the rest of the crew as long as we can make something happen, but I'm going to do that. I'm going to make it happen. And I can honestly say that comes from, you know, how my brother raised me. Whereas, like, you know, no matter how, you just don't quit. You just don't quit on yourself. You know, there are certain things and different things in life that you got to just walk away from, you know, but you just don't quit on yourself. And that's always been, you know, one of the things that I've admired a lot about how the industries have changed, and women have become the ones behind the cameras, the ones that are writing the scripts, the ones that are running the shows, and the ones that are producing these shows and acting in them, and you know, could do the whole thing. And it's just it has given it new life. That whereas, you know, you can actually you know when something was created and who directed it by the way it's delivered, and that's something that you know, even Hollywood needed a lot of. And it's so awesome to see it all the way in every little thing, animation and anime and you know, short films and full length features and, you know, everything like that, where women are not only, you know, there in the background, even when they're the lead, there's always a male lead, you know. Now
Right.
it could be centered around a female, and that's perfectly fine, and it's awesome.
Right.
So that's really one of the things I see in both of you. You know, I mean, you're both very beautiful. You joke and everything else. I joke that you do still look like you're in your 20s. Congratulations on your baby, Kate. You know, but you're also
Galo
fucking
with the
real.
charm.
You're fucking real, and I love that. You guys are great.
Thank you, Dark Lord. We are pretty fucking real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got zero.
I love it. I would say, yeah, this is one of the things that to second what Gallo said is I love this because this is quintessentially not a story that either Gallo or I could have written or directed very honestly. And I think that's that we shouldn't have tried. I'm glad that you did it, because you're the ones that need to be telling this story.
Right.
Real
I think
quick.
that's what's so exciting about our industry right now. I'm so excited to be living right now amongst all the chaos. It's like, okay, it's time to start opening doors for people of color, for people of different genders and identifications and ethnicities. Like, it's just time. It's so past time, and I'm so fucking excited about that. So I think storytelling is going to shift in the most beautiful way, and I'm stoked to be a witness to it. I really am.
Kate, for this short, how much of what was going on was improv? Because I'm looking at you now, like having this conversation, and both the way you play with your hair and your facial features. There is a ton of you here that's in there. So how much did you just kind of run with it? And Brooke, kind of building on that, how short or how long was that leash as a director?
I guess I'll just say, I feel like there's a difference between improv and people's essence, and I think Brooke sort of let me work with a combination of both. That's not to say there weren't, like, I think your job as an actor is to know the story, know what you want, and have ideas and thoughts and hopes about what you want to be for who you want your character to be, and then you have to leave it at your house, or you have to leave it on the street. And you got to come in and just let all that shit go and start listening and talking. And I've always been a very a naturalistic but heightened character actor. So just depending on what medium I'm working in, whether it's theater or film or television. Oh God, my dog is scratching at the door.
She's a star.
But I'll let Brooke answer the leash part. Oh my God, and my dog is here.
Let him in. Let him in.
That's what he heard. He heard the word. He was like, "Oh, leash! I'm gonna go for one."
I will say, just like, keep in mind that we actually wrote this for Kate. So we're sitting in coffee shops, going through dialogue, improvising dialogue together as those two characters. But it was so important to me to write something that just showcased who she is, because she's such a unique individual with such specific, unique thoughts that you don't. I don't watch Kate's acting and go, oh, who she reminds me of, blah, blah, blah. She just doesn't. She's just so specifically her, which is amazing. Right. And as far as like improvising on set, I'll be honest with you, it was pretty much word for word. What I give them permission and freedom to do is improvise in the moments in between. Because think about it, like, acting is not just about saying words. It's the thoughts you're having between words. It's the action. It's the things you're not saying in your head that you want to say. So that's where I give freedom. It's like, make up the story, make up your own thoughts as it serves the text for all of them, for all three of them. And that's when Samson like really made those lines pop. Because if you look at them on the page, we're funny, but like, he made it. You know what I mean? So you just have to really trust the casting and the people you're with. And then I'll be honest, people like to hear this. The only thing in the script that was not scripted in that entire thing was the scene. Yeah. And it just said, this scene, montage, improv.
Yeah.
Now that sounds really scary considering what what happens in the scene, but we had a conversation as a crew and a cast, and it was like, it's going to be a closed set. Only these specific people are in the room. Yeah. I'm going to be holding the shoulder of my DP to get the certain angles I want. And then I'm just going to be shouting out
things to do and things, the same directions, if you will.
Yeah.
Actions.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. And then I also told them, if you think of something in the moment, oh my God, do it. We'll just follow you with the camera. So as long as we were all on the same page about safety, and if Kate was ever in a position where it's, you tell me you're first, you have to be verbal. As long as you're safe and intimacy is, we are all on the same page about that and the safety there, then like, let's play. As long as we all trust each other. And that's when we got the funniest shit.
And the most, I don't know, beautiful. It's like, it's for what really could have been a yuck, yuck, yuck scene. It really, we kept it, we gave it all forms of life that one would experience in those situations, you know?
Yeah. I would agree. I also take my coffee black, by the way. So that was a fun little, I was like, oh, sweet. Awesome. I get it. But the one of the things, Kate, and I wanted to give you a huge compliment for this is just your acting, your ability to act with your face. Cause there's a lot where you were silent and you were conveying different emotions either at the beginning or at the very end. And it was completely just you acting with your face, and it was very I felt every emotion. It was very impactful.
You feel and the shoulder acting?
I mean, you know what? I'm more of an elbow guy myself, but the face acting was super good. You were conveying those emotions real. But I just wanted kudos to you and compliments because I noticed and it was very good.
Thank you.
Well, I know we're wrapping up near the end here, but I want to give, I mean, obviously Project Nerd, when the time is right and when it's publicly available to share, we're going to be putting it on our social media and pushing it and talking about it. And we're going to give you guys all the support in the world that we can. But right now, when people listen to this, how can they support you guys the most right now? If they're not going to be at the film festival, what are some things that we can do to help you guys succeed and make this the best experience you can?
Thank you for asking. Our, most of our communication outside of ourselves is done on Instagram. That's kind of where we put everything that's happening with the film to keep people informed, and like maybe our film will be coming to a city near you. You never know.
Right.
So our handle is just Oh Baby Film, OHBABYFILM. Keep it really simple. And then on my website, we'll also have listed the festivals we've been in. That's where our trailer is, stuff like that. So yeah, if you just kind of keep in touch with us via Instagram, we're also both personally active as artists. And yeah, that would mean the world.
Well, that is great. I know we have a large collection of nerds, and so I hope they are all going and they're all following and supporting. And is there anything else either of you want to kind of push or talk about or make public before we kind of wrap up here? I know we're talking about Oh Baby and the film festival and supporting you guys, but anything either of you just kind of wanted to give a shout out to or support while we got the time?
Oh, a shout out too. I should give a shout out to my husband, Clayton Apgar, who yeah, I mean, yeah, he was so helpful, helped facilitate a lot of this film, and my son and I, we're both, Brooke and I are auditioning and pushing this film, and hoping to get something going future wise with this film. You know what I'm saying? She's going to say this better than me. She always does. Cause I'm like, I don't want to say too much. She can keep it all like articulate and concise.
But I could never say it like you. That's the point of view, is you're unique.
You never say it like hands through your hair and think, oh my God, what's next for us?
We don't know.
I'm just going to fade into the background. This is now your show.
Yep.
I will do a little shout out to John Rosenfeld. He was our acting coach, and that's who brought us together so many years ago. And that community, he really encourages his actors to start writing and creating because he knows how important that is in the trajectory of this career. So shout out to John and that community. And then Yeah, I'm writing so much, and that's kind of been the one thing that I've been able to take control over in this pandemic. It's really hard right now. We can't go into rooms for auditions, and everything has kind of changed. So we're writing, and hopefully we'll have new stuff coming up. I've got another short film that should be coming out called Friends Like These, super funny, written by my dear friend Asha Michelle Wilson. So hopefully, I don't know, we're just going to keep creating, and we hope to keep this conversation alive and well within our communities, and just keep supporting one another. That's super important to us.
Well, this has been so much fun, and I can't thank you both enough for coming on and spending this time with us. And again, as Galo said, please stay in touch, and we just can't wait to do something like this again and promote the next thing, or the Oh Baby series or sequel that's coming out. So we are completely on team Oh Baby, and I can't wait to have everybody get to see it, because it was so fun, and you guys have been such a joy to have on the Nerdcast. So thank you from the whole Project-Nerd family. And for all of our listeners, please remember to subscribe. We have a lot of other shows. Murder, She Joked, we mentioned a couple others that I'm sure you're going to love. So check out the whole Project Nerd podcast network. And until next time, I have been Jay. He has been Galo, and we have been blessed to have Kate Morgan Chadwick and Brooke Trantor here on the Nerdcast. And
Thank you so much, ladies.
See ya.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.